Hey everybody, Ryan here at etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Bulldog Winch onboard air tank. So with all my experience with the tanks, they're often going to be paired up with a onboard compressor like this one today. And the tank is going to hold that compressed air and really just come in handy whenever you need it. It'll be perfect to have around the job site or whenever you're out at the farm or whatever you might be doing. This compressed air will allow you to fill up your tires, maybe blow some dirt out of the bed of your truck or another piece of equipment, or maybe even operate a really small tool. With that being said, it's going to be there when you need it, and you know you're not going to have to run back to the house or to a gas station to air anything up. So the tank itself is going to hold 1.5 gallons of air, and in my opinion, that's kind of a perfect size, because the tank's not going to be so large that it's going to be really difficult to find a spot to mount it, but it's not going to be so small that your compressor is going to have to constantly run to keep it filled up. So in our case, we do have quite a bit of room to mount it, as our customer wanted everything inside of his toolbox here, which is a good idea. But for those of you without a toolbox and plan on mounting it underneath the truck or somewhere else, I'll give you a couple measurements to make sure it'll fit. The overall length of it from end to end, it's going to be 11 7/8 of an inch. It's going to be 7 1/8 of an inch wide, so from here to here. And it's going to be 8 1/8 of an inch tall, so from the bottom of the tank to the top. Something that's pretty nice about this tank is that it's going to have 8 inflation ports. 2 of them are going to be 3/8 in size, and those will be over here, and the rest of them are going to be 1/4 inch in size. Now, chances are pretty good you won't use all 8 ports, but the reason that I like so many is that pretty much no matter how you mount your tank, you're gonna have easy access to a port and not have to deal with trying to make any tight bends or jeopardize your airline to run it into the tank. With all of the ports, you're gonna be able to use the easiest one. Now, I do want to mention, even though it has all these ports, the tank does not come included with any of the plugs or fittings. So depending on what you're trying to do, you're going to have to pick those up separately. And we actually offer many different types of plugs and fittings, just about anything that you would want here at etrailer. So just to kind of give you a rundown on how we set our tank up today, and this is going to be a pretty common setup for the most part. You're not going to really find too many different combinations unless it's for something really special. But so we have one fitting that allows us to plug our compressor air line into the tank to fill it up full of air. We have a quick connect here, and this is to plug in your standard style air hose. That way you can fill up your tires or connect your tool to it, whatever you're trying to do. And one thing I suggested too was a safety valve down here. So this valve is 155 psi. Our tank's good for 150. So if something were to happen and we accidentally overfill the tank, whatever the case may be, whenever it reaches that pressure, this valve is going to open up and prevent damage to our tank. And it's just good to have here at the bottom of the tank. If you ever need to service anything, you can let that air out. And it's not a bad idea sometimes too to hit this, and that'll let any moisture that may build up inside the tank out as well. Tank's going to be made from steel, so you know it's going to last a long time and be really strong. And it's also going to have a black E-coating. So that E-coating is really corrosion resistant and stands up to elements. That way you're not going to have to worry about any rust or anything like that. Now in our particular case, not really a huge deal because it's already covered, but for the typical installation where it's mounted outside in the elements, that E-coating is really going to help keep it protected and looking good. So overall, a great addition to your compressor system, and it's one of those things that you don't really think about, but realize you would like to have it once you see how handy it can be.